proud to...
Fryer. I mean, just thinking about it makes me cry.
Regent Caroline Kennedy Schlossberg and animal attacks on E.T.
Up from the deep, keys to a crash mystery. Investigators say they expect a wealth of information from the better-than-expected black box recovered from Egypt Air 990. Going to the mat over a high school football game brawl. CBS News shows you the grandstand battle that's led to a national controversy, criminal charges, and a federal lawsuit. And there's gold in these chromosomes. The race to cash in on the human genetic code.
This is the CBS Evening News. With Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. Investigators got a possible big break today in their hopes of solving the mystery crash of Egypt Air 990. Confirmation came late today that even though it was damaged, the jet's flight data recorder, retrieved just hours ago from the ocean floor, does appear to contain vital technical information. This could help answer the question of what went so terribly wrong and killed 217 people. CBS's Bob Orr has the latest. Bob?
Dan, this is very encouraging news tonight for investigators. The flight data recorder is not only in good shape, but as it turns out, it contains 3 times more information than investigators were counting on, a prospect that improves the chances the crash will be solved. A Navy helicopter touched down at Andrews Air Force Base this afternoon with the flight data recorder recovered from the wreckage of Egypt Air Flight 990. The recorder, one of 2 so-called black boxes from the doomed jet, was packed inside a cooler filled with salt water and bound with tape. Officials from the National Transportation Safety Board and the FBI accompanied the black box on a police-escorted trip to the NTSB lab in Washington. And tonight, that's where experts are working to retrieve critical clues as to what might have caused the crash. The flight data recorder could provide investigators with a second-by-second roadmap of what the plane was doing just before and during its fatal plunge. The recorder, which tracked about 150 separate operations of the Boeing 767, should provide details about the plane's speed, direction, and control. And it may reveal potential problems like an electrical failure, a loss of pressure, or an in-flight explosion. The flight data recorder was plucked from the Atlantic overnight by the robot Deep Drone. Now recovery ships are focused solely on finding the other black box, the cockpit voice recorder. We're told investigators are expected to work through the night crunching that information from the flight data recorder, and we could, if we're lucky, get our first real clues to the crash sometime tomorrow. Dan?
Thanks, Bob. Everybody agrees school violence should be kept to a minimum. Not everybody agrees on how to do that. An example is the fact that 4 of the 7 students booted out of their Decatur, Illinois high school over a brawl at a football game are in deeper trouble tonight. Prosecutors today filed felony charges against them. CBS's Cynthia Bowers is in Decatur, Illinois, with new pictures of the brawl that led to the controversial school explosions.
This high school football game last September is where it all began, with this fight captured on videotape obtained by CBS News and seen for the first time tonight. In slow motion, you can see the melee move across the stadium bleachers as frightened bystanders flee. Images school officials say helped them decide to expel 7 students for 2 years.
Why such a reaction?
This was not a typical high school fight. This was a brawl. This was an event that truly endangered the lives of many innocent people.
The district attorney thinks this fight was serious enough to file criminal charges against 4 of the teenagers today. Even so, the Reverend Jesse Jackson continues to turn up the heat.
No guns, no knives, no drugs, no permanent entry.
Protesters were out again this morning, leading school officials to close the city's 3 high schools for a second straight day and keep nearly 3,000 kids from their classes.
It should be the school, the students, the parents, and the school district involved in this, not big names bringing all the press and making everybody here look stupid.
The legal battle broadened today when Jackson asked a federal judge to intervene and order the kids back to their original schools, despite a school board vote last night to shorten their suspensions. But the school superintendent says that doesn't mean their resolve has weakened.
What is the message we're sending to American youth today? That you're not going to be held accountable for your own actions? These 7 students obviously had no intention of cheering their fellow classmates on. They wanted an audience, which unfortunately they got.
And what may have started as what the boys' supporters contend was a relatively minor incident has suddenly mushroomed into a national debate, one that has left people here anyway with increasingly little room for compromise. Cynthia Bowers, CBS News, Decatur, Illinois.
The Reverend Jackson had not seen the video of the incident until CBS News showed it to him this afternoon. He then told me a short time ago that in his view, the tape hurts the school board's case.
It's more ridiculous. This is a school fight, an ugly school fight, lasted about 17 seconds, no guns, no knives, no blood, and it's over. We did not see here gangs nor mob, but for this, these youth who are hardly identifiable in the tape expelled from school for 2 years, and that is a very violent act.
Reverend Jackson also told me that in his opinion, the Decatur School Board has shown, quote, a pattern of expelling students. He says troubled youth should instead be kept in class, given counseling and things like computer training. President Clinton said today he will veto the Republican version of a minimum wage increase just passed by the U.S. Senate. The Republican version calls for a $1 increase in the minimum wage to $6.15 an hour over 3 years. It also includes billions of dollars in tax breaks for business. The Democrats' version, defeated in the Senate today, phases the wage increase in sooner and has more modest tax breaks. Amid the minimum wage battle on Capitol Hill, we asked CBS's Byron Pitts to dig into the realities of life in America today for workers on hourly wages.
At Fat Mac's Rib Shack, where the music like the menu simmer in the blues, you won't find a vegetarian sandwich in this restaurant or a single employee who earns minimum wage. Most make $1 or $2 more because the economy in Atlanta, like in much of America, is booming. Businesses can't compete for good workers unless they pay more. But if Congress were to raise the minimum wage from $5.15 an hour to $6.15, small business owners say they would suffer.
If we're having to pay out more in labor costs, then the way to make up for that would be to increase our prices.
Still, proponents call the wage hike long-term planning.
Make sure that the wage floor is solidly in place so that when unemployment begins to increase, wages don't tumble for those at the bottom of the wage scale.
More than 11 million people in America would benefit from a minimum wage increase. That's approximately 10% of the nation's workforce. Most of them are under 25 and work part-time. The average blue-collar worker is in the same boat with Tim Maney. He does a bit better than minimum wage, but a government increase could mean more money in his pocket.
To me, like if I was to get $1 more an hour, you figure that's about $40 more a week. Yeah, that would definitely make a big difference.
But Tim, his boss, and men and women just like them called this debate over minimum wage a mirage. No matter what the politicians in Washington decide, the workers at this car wash and in kitchens across America will still need at least 2 jobs to make ends meet. Byron Pitts, CBS News, Atlanta.
On the market watch, pressed for profits, Amazon.com almost desperately wants to lure holiday shoppers online, so it is expanding into home improvement tools and other gift ideas. Tech stocks finally took a breather today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 101 points, and the NASDAQ, after 8 straight record closes, gave up nearly 19 today. Still to come on the CBS Evening News. Personal information for sale by the state, straight from your driver's license. The race to decipher the DNA code and the patent payoff to the winner. And a scramble to save a racing yacht breaking up on the high seas.
Enterprise rent-a-car. Ellie's renting again. And Enterprise picked her up again. She said Enterprise picks her up free. Free? Free. Now that makes renting easy.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
One question aroused fierce passions for centuries. What's for dinner? Until the day a great mediator appeared. The new Maytag Gemini. 2-in-1 range that allowed them to cook 2 different foods at 2 different temperatures for 1 complete meal.
Freedom.
Gateway PC with the YourWare program, and you can trade it in toward the purchase of a new one in 2 years. So you'll never have an old computer. Call 1-800-GATEWAY. Get a Gateway PC with an Intel Pentium 3 processor with a year of AOL included.
Dr. Scholl's next stop, San Francisco.
Let's talk about feet. I do have corn. I've tried Band-Aids. They don't get rid of the corn. This is Dr. Scholl's Cushland Gel Corn Removers. The Cushland Gel relieves the pain.
The medicated disc removes the corn.
It just feels so much better.
Well, my work here is done.
You may already be aware that your medical records and your personal computer files may not be as confidential as you'd like. But did you know that states are selling personal data from your driver's license for profit? Before you make a federal case out of it, somebody already has. CBS's Jim Stewart has a preview of the arguments tomorrow before the U.S. Supreme Court.
As Supreme Court cases go, this one is pretty simple. The question is, who has the right to all that information you turn over to the Motor Vehicle Department when you apply for a driver's license? Things like your address, Social Security number, even your photograph. Congress passed a law called the Driver's Privacy Protection Act, saying states can't give that information to just anyone. Several states' attorneys generals, including South Carolina's Charles Condon, says Congress should butt out.
We're certainly in agreement with the laudable goals of the Driver's Privacy Protection Act, but the question is, who makes that decision? And we believe that South Carolina should be run by South Carolinians.
States make millions of dollars selling their motor vehicle records to groups like political parties and big business, but most have stopped selling it to just anyone. It was, in fact, the tragic release of such materials in a case in California that prompted this legal battle. Television actress Rebecca Schaefer was tracked down and killed by a stalker who had someone research motor vehicle records. And every day, say victims' advocates, someone tries to flee a harmful relationship only to worry they may end up in a state that sells their whereabouts.
So many stalking victims in particular flee across state lines. And they shouldn't have to think, which state should I go to that'll protect my driving records?
In the end, however, this is a case not so much about privacy as about the division of authority between the states and Congress. No one is going to knowingly sell a stalker private information, state officials say, and the point they argue is that Washington doesn't need to pass a law telling them that. Jim Stewart, CBS News at the Supreme Court.
Lawyers for a 13-year-old boy rested their case in his murder trial today. Nathaniel Abraham did not take the stand. He was 11 when he was charged with killing a man in Pontiac, Michigan. Prosecutors called 2 rebuttal witnesses today who testified Abraham was capable of planning a murder in their opinion. A defense psychologist told jurors yesterday that in his opinion, Abraham was unable to understand the consequences of his actions. Next on CBS, celebrating in Berlin 10 years after the fall of the wall.
Sign here? Sorry, I only have a minute.
In so many ways, in so many places, it keeps a million disasters a day from happening. It's like having a life insurance policy you never knew you had.
Gotta go.
It's plastics.
There's my good girl.
Plastics make it possible.
Mamma mia, cicioso, molto bene, delizioso. Now Pringles, a piccalicious.
My feet are killing me.
You need new Podiasin Soak and Massage Gel. Only Podiasin dissolves in water for instant pain relief, then rubs into open pores for deep, lasting relief.
The pain is gone.
New Podiasin Soak and Massage Gel.
In Berlin tonight, they're celebrating 10 years without the wall. They shot fireworks at a concert near the Brandenburg Gate, a place that was no man's land until East Berliners began streaming across 10 years ago tonight. It took a few days to finish the fall of the wall. But despite tonight's festivities, the reunited Germany still has some growing pains. Tom Fenton found while the most famous symbol of division is gone, another kind of wall is very much intact.
For almost 30 years, the Berlin Wall was the symbol of the standoff between capitalism and communism. The night it came down, people on both sides were bewildered and joyful.
The streets were packed. I mean, you couldn't move. Car to car, bumper to bumper, person to person.
For John Stoops, an American soldier based in Berlin, it was a vivid moment.
Oh, it was a party. It was euphoric. You know, everybody was the feeling that this is the greatest thing that ever happened in the world.
American Ambassador John Kornblum believes the situation was also more dangerous than most people knew.
There was the potential that the security forces in East Germany would have struck back. Around this city, let's say in the summer of 1989, within 100 miles of this city were 400,000 Soviet troops.
Far more than the Allies had. American soldiers knew they might have to fight, and they were prepared.
In behind bridges like this over here, going over to the east, they have sewage canals. They're running behind the abutments. Well, we just pump it full of liquid explosives and crank it off, and they blow the bridge down.
It never came to violence. Still, the euphoria did not last. Unemployment in what was East Germany is now nearly 20%. People there feel like second-class citizens in the new Germany. Many here will tell you that East and West Berlin are still divided. Politically, at least, that appears to be true. The East votes left-wing for a version of the old communists. The West votes right-wing. But beyond that, there are hardly any signs of physical division now. So efficiently has the East been drawn into the wealth of the West. The vivid scar that once cut through the heart of the city has vanished almost everywhere, except in the small town of Mödlerreuth, which decided to keep the wall, guard towers and all, as a tourist attraction. Heiko Merkner says his town has escaped the big problems of reunification and now has only little ones, 2 different mail codes and 2 different power systems. He says, we get together and party every year right alongside the wall. For them, this symbol of misery and oppression is now just a moneymaker. Tom Fenton, CBS News, Berlin.
Next here on CBS Eye on America, the race to map out the human gene blueprint. Can the patent winner own the rights?
The CBS Evening News and tonight's Eye on America segment are sponsored by Tylenol. Take comfort in our strength.
You know my friend Mr. Moretti. He worries about the arthritis pain in my hands. So he came with me to the doctor. Now I am on a wonderful treatment.
Tylenol Arthritis Extended Relief. It works as well as the leading arthritis prescription, but is much gentler to your stomach.
Mr. Moretti says I have beautiful hands.
Tylenol Arthritis. Take comfort in our strength.
As you might expect, Teller and I don't see eye to eye on investing. I like to avoid risk. Teller's a little more daring. We do, however, share the same new way to trade online.
Introducing Power Street by Fidelity, the first site with trading tools customized by Lycos to fit your life, your goals, your unique way of doing things.
Look, the market's up. Or, in your case, down.
Power Street Online Trading. Call or visit Fidelity.com to open an account.
A lot of people have allergies. I have multi-symptom nasal allergies. It's the sneezing, itchy, runny nose, the nasal congestion. It's all of it. I told my doctor, I've had it. I want an allergy medicine made for my kind of allergies. He prescribed multi-symptom Flonase.
Flonase nasal spray once a day relieves all nasal allergy symptoms all day and night.
All it takes is Flonase.
the #1 prescribed nasal allergy spray. Even kids as young as 4 can use Flonase. For best results, use daily. If side effects occur, they are generally mild and may include headache, nosebleed, or sore throat. Call to learn more. Ask your doctor about multi-symptom Flonase.
When you get it all it takes is Flonase.
Sis, I snooped in your medicine cabinet. So? You switched to X-Lax.
Yeah, Correctol works with an artificial chemical. X-Lax works with natural senna.
Very effectively, too.
You tried it.
What a find.
What a snoop.
Good morning, guaranteed.
Tonight's Eye on America takes you to the frontiers of science news, locating the 100,000 genes that are blueprints for humanity. Traits, defects, diseases, and all that implies. Researchers are getting close and closer to a core question. Can those who discover it all patent and own it? CBS's Wyatt Andrews has been digging into the business of life and the life of business.
It is miracle one of modern medicine. Scientists every day take pure human DNA, the building block of life, and in this, the greatest human science project ever, they grow the DNA and separate its parts so a computer can read its chemical sequence. It's the human genome, the genetic spelling of man.
It's our instruction book for human biology. And the notion that we could actually read that book in any of our lifetimes would have been considered unthinkable 20 or 30 years ago.
Dr. Francis Collins, chief of the government Genome Project, says we will read that book early next year. The code for traits like height or intelligence, and most important, for human disease.
Medicine will be transformed in ways that I think we can't even quite glimpse. We are going to know why I'm at risk for one thing and you're at risk for another.
But Dr. Collins has a problem.
There's a bit of a gold rush going on.
Make that a gene rush. Dr. Collins hates to admit it, but he is in a race to discover the human genome before this man does.
This is the largest DNA decoding lab in the world by far.
And this man, Craig Venter of Solera Genomics, a private company, says he has a bigger computer than Dr. Collins does.
Are you going to win? We're not going to lose.
Solera is one of several companies staking claims on the genome. Venter has filed more than 6,000 patents on genes and even the pieces of genes that might cause disease. He plans to sell that information to drug companies, universities, whomever will pay.
We're trying to only file patents on those things that we know the pharmaceutical industry will take forward. We're not filing patents blindly across the genome.
The right to own and to patent a discovery has long been part of the American way. The profit motive fuels innovation. But in this particular competition, private entrepreneurs are winning patents to some of the keys to human life, and many believe that's dangerous.
Basically, my medical practice as a physician is being prevented.
Dr. Deborah Leonard, a scientist at the University of Pennsylvania, says gene patents are being abused. Her hospital cannot use gene tests to diagnose Alzheimer's or breast cancer, not because the patent holders invented any tests. They patented the genes themselves.
Breast cancer and Alzheimer's disease, yes, are being monopolized by specific companies. Clinical laboratories are being stopped from doing diagnostic testing.
Here's chromosome 3.
In a rush to prevent those patents, Dr. Collins has ordered government labs to make every new gene discovery public knowledge.
You put this on the net every night?
Every night.
Collins favors patents for true genetic inventions, but opposes private ownership of the code itself.
Somebody else who has a great idea about what that gene might do and a way in which to turn that into a product for public benefit may be discouraged from doing so.
Craig Venter, meanwhile, says he is misunderstood. He doesn't want the genes, he promises. He's just assembling the data scientists will need to buy.
This is going to be years, if not a decade, faster than it was going to happen before. So competition is good. Competition is good, and this information can't come fast enough.
And that's where it stands. Every day, it's robot versus robot, public computer versus private computer. A race to literally write the book of life, and in the process, determine who owns it. In Rockville, Maryland, Wyatt Andrews for Eye on America.
Up next on the CBS Evening News, the race to save a racing yacht, an ordeal in icy waters.
For the latest medical news and information, visit our health website, cbshealthwatch.com.
Let's be honest. There's really no such thing as a gracious winner. You might say things like nice game or shake your opponent's hand. But no matter how humble you are on the outside, deep down on the inside, you're saying, I'm better than you are. The Mitsubishi Galant, ranked the #1 family sedan under 20 grand by Car and Driver. Better than Accord or Camry. Boy, we just love saying that.
That was a real scare with my overactive bladder. I was going so often. Then bottom of the 9th, suddenly I had to go. But that time, I didn't think I'd make it. That did it. I asked my doctor about Detrol.
Overactive bladder is a medical condition. Today's prescription Detrol is proven effective to treat it. Detrol helps control bladder contractions that cause those sudden urges. Detrol reduced bathroom visits by 2.2 times in 24 hours versus 1.1 times with placebo. 1.2 fewer wedding accidents occurred with Detrol versus 0.8 fewer with placebo. Similar decreases over 24 hours. If you have certain types of stomach, urinary, or glaucoma problems, do not take Detrol. The most common side effect is dry mouth. Some others may include dry eyes, headache, constipation, and indigestion.
7th inning. Need a break?
Not right now. Thanks to Detrol.
Ask your doctor about prescription Detrol, proven effective to treat overactive bladder.
Thanks for making a leave. For almost 5 years, I often had a hard time walking. I went from doctor to doctor and even had surgery on both knees. Most pain relievers worked for a while, then quit, and the pain came back. Finally, a doctor suggested a leave. Soon I could dance all night again.
Aleve can stop pain all day with just 2 pills. It would take 8 Tylenol to do that.
Now people say I'm a walking advertisement for Aleve.
All day strong, all day long.
A thunderous crack sounded off the coast of New Zealand today, and the race was on to save a $4 million racing yacht from sinking in the icy deep. The crack was the hull of the yacht Young America, leading at the time in its trial heat for the America's Cup. It smacked into a wave and came out shaped like a banana. The skipper ordered the crew to abandon ship, but they scrambled to keep it afloat while saving the sails and other equipment. The salvage was a success. Young America was towed into port and none of the crew was hurt. But the New York Yacht Club will now have to pin its hopes on another boat. 11 groups are competing to challenge New Zealand next year for the America's Cup. That's part of our world. Later tonight on CBS, 60 Minutes 2. Bill Gates, under fire and on the defensive. The richest man in the world answers his critics and talks candidly about monopolies, money, and the one thing he values above all else. It's a side of Bill Gates you haven't seen before. That's at 9/8 Central Time, 60 Minutes 2. For the CBS Evening News, Dan Rather reporting. See you later on 60 Minutes 2.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the internet and on our interactive partner, America Online at keyword CBS News.
Good evening. It is a busy news night locally. I'm Mike